On paper, Mexico, a nation endowed with a wealth of natural resources, a burgeoning skilled workforce, and the strategic advantage of sharing its northern border with the United States, has all the markings of an economic powerhouse. Yet, the reality tells a different story. Despite its inherent advantages, Mexico has not been able to fully capitalize on pivotal global events such as the US-China trade tension or the shifts caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. But why is it that with all its potential, Mexico is not the economic dynamo it could be? Today, we aim to dissect the complexities and contradictions that define Mexico's economic future. China's dominance. When it comes to manufacturing, China is like the star player on a championship team. It's hard to compete with them. Imagine a race where one car is a high-speed sports car and the other is a regular sedan. According to the data, China's economy is the second largest in the world with a GDP of $13.6 trillion, while Mexico is way down at 15th with a GDP of just $1.2 trillion. And it's not just about size, it's also about how fast they're growing. Deloitte says that Mexico's economy is expected to grow by 3.5% in 2023. That might sound okay, but it's nothing compared to China's growth. But here's where it gets interesting. Mexico has actually moved past China in one area: trade with the US. According to Business Insider, trade between the US and Mexico reached $263 billion in just the first 4 months of this year. That's more than the trade between the US and China. So, while the Chinese might be a big player globally, Mexico is making some moves closer to home. Why did this happen? Well, a few years ago, the US and China weren't getting along too well in terms of trade. The US put some extra charges, called tariffs, on goods coming from China. This made companies think twice about making stuff in China. Instead, they started looking for other places that were closer and maybe cheaper. This is what experts call nearshoring, and it's one reason Mexico has seen a boost in trade. But even with this boost, China is still way ahead in the game. They've been building their manufacturing skills for decades, and they have a lot of people to do the work. Plus, they've got a system in place to make things super efficient. Mexico's challenges. However, when it comes to Mexico's economy, there's a lot of other stuff to unpack as well. High crime rates in Mexico are a big problem for the economy. According to a session organized by the World Bank, crime and violence have a direct impact on the labor market and life outcomes, especially for young people at risk. This means that many young people who could be working and contributing to the economy are instead caught up in crime. But it's not just young people who are affected. Crime impacts businesses of all sizes. When crime rates are high, it scares away foreign investors. These are the people and companies that could be bringing in lots of money and jobs into Mexico. Organized crime groups are involved in all sorts of illegal activities that have global economic repercussions. These activities include things like drug trafficking, human trafficking, and even money laundering. This kind of crime doesn't just affect one person or business, it affects the whole country's economy. When it comes to the economy, investment is like the fuel that keeps the engine running. But in Mexico, there's a problem. The fuel tank is running low. According to the sources, Mexico has grown more dependent on foreign direct investment and remittance after total investment declined sharply for a fourth consecutive year in 2020. This is a big deal because investment is what helps an economy grow and create jobs. So why is investment falling? One reason is that the government is not spending enough on things that would help the economy grow. Normally, public investment plays an important role in a country's long-term growth. Infrastructure such as highways, mass transit, airports, and sea and rail port facilities have a positive effect on private sector output and productivity growth. But in Mexico, public investment has dropped at an average annual rate of 6% since 2010. But it's not just the government that's pulling back. Private investment started declining in 2018. This happened even after the government canceled the construction of a new $13 billion Mexico City airport. That's a lot of money that could have gone into other projects. And it's not just big projects like airports. The government also cut back on energy investment. They stopped auctions for oil explorations and favored state-owned power plants over renewable energy. This could affect more than 150 renewable energy projects under development, representing a $40 billion investment. Why does this matter? Well, when the government and private companies do invest, it's like a double whammy for the economy. It means fewer jobs and less money for people to spend. And when people don't spend money, businesses don't make money, and the cycle continues. It's a downward spiral that's hard to stop. Then there's also Mexico's economic relationship with the United States. We've already seen that the United States is the primary destination for Mexican exports. For instance, any economic downturn in the US has a ripple effect that can quickly destabilize Mexico's economy. This was evident during the global financial crisis of 2008, when a slump in the US economy led to a significant contraction in Mexico's economic growth. The nature of exports to the US further complicates this dependency. A significant portion of these exports are in the automotive and electronic sectors. Cars and auto parts alone make up nearly 36% of Mexico's exports to the US. While this has been beneficial for Mexico's manufacturing industry, it also means that any changes in American consumer preferences or distribution in supply chains can have an outsized impact on the Mexican economy. Remittances for the US also play a crucial role in Mexico's economy. In 2022, remittances reached a record high of nearly $58.5 billion. These funds are a vital source of income for many Mexican families and contribute to domestic consumption. However, this also means that any immigration policy changes in the US can affect these financial flows. A stricter immigration policy could lead to a decrease in remittances, affecting the livelihood of many in Mexico. Foreign direct investment from the US is another pillar supporting Mexico's economy. In 2021, the US invested $110.7 billion in Mexico, making it the leading source of foreign direct investment in the country. While this investment has led to job creation and technological transfer, it also raises questions about the long-term sustainability of Mexico's economic model. The Mexican government, under President Andrés Manuel López Obrador, has expressed a desire to reduce this dependence on the US. However, achieving this is easier said than done. National Leaderboard. When it comes to grading Mexico's economic performance, it's a mixed bag. If we were to give it a score, it would be a 6 out of 10. Why? Well, let's break it down. On the one hand, Mexico's GDP is growing. The manufacturing sector, which is a big part of the economy, is not doing as well as it could be. Also, while exports have increased a little, oil exports have fallen by a lot compared to last year. This is probably because demand around the world is slowing down. Another thing to consider is employment. While more people are getting formal jobs, and the government has been bumping it up since 2018, the growth is not that fast. Only 20,000 new formal jobs were added in August 2023. That's not a lot when you think about how big the country is. So, all in all, Mexico is doing okay, but it could be doing better. It's making progress, but there's still challenges to overcome. If you liked the video, please consider subscribing and sharing so we can keep bringing more content like this. See you next time.